The following program is made possible with the support of Papa John's Pizza, Sam's Club, and PortCityDaily.com.
The midseason push inside the Mid-Eastern Conference is heading into crunch time as high school football teams hit the field back on Friday night. Our teams inside New Hanover County went 2-2. Everybody, I'm Joe Katz from Sports Roundtable here at PortCityDaily.com. Welcome to our newest edition of the show as we welcome the 4 football coaches from the county in studio here for our weekly interviews and going over game highlights. New Hanover traveled down to West Brunswick last Friday night. First place in the conference was on the line, and the Wildcats came up short 26-14. 4 turnovers on the offensive end. Some key costly penalties early in that game really set New Hanover behind the 8 ball, and they were unable to overcome some of those things to pick up what would have been a crucial victory as Coach Earl Smith from the New Hanover Wildcats joins us here tonight on setting. Coach, really in that first half, a couple of turnovers obviously cost you a key holding penalty that negated a punt return touchdown by Freddie Taylor, so things really didn't pan out from you right from the opening possession of the game.
Right, Joe. First of all, I'd like to just a shout out to Coach Williams and his staff for the preparation, getting their team ready to play, and we came out, but those 2 opportunities at the beginning could have turned the ballgame around, but we just didn't, take advantage of them. And Bubba McCray, not Bubba Watkins, as I called him, Bubba Watson, as I called him last week, had a heck of a night. We did a pretty good job on him in the first half, but the second half he came to hurt us.
Yeah, I'd say the defense, put in a good effort, but anytime a running back gets 40 carries, 40 carries is a lot of running of the football, and it tires out some of those defensive guys.
Yeah, we were on the field too much on defense, and we continue to make mistakes on our offensive line. We just got to keep working on it, and that's on me, and we're going to try to get that corrected this week.
Well, with the Wildcats trailing 6-0, they were able to get a key turnover, and Javion Hall punched it in from 1 yard out. Blake Walston also threw a 35-yard touchdown pass to Freddie Taylor late in the game. Those were the 2 scores for New Hanover. Coach, let's go over some of the highlights from this ball game down in Shallotte. Always a tough place to play.
Yeah, here Chris Taylor, junior defensive end, makes a big stop on Bubba, and like I said, the first quarter we did a really good job against him. And here's a stop by Grant Daly, who was very instrumental in the first half and the second half too. Nas Brown here with a tackle. These are 3 juniors coming back. We're looking forward to the future, but they're veterans because they've been starting for 2 years. Here's Grant again. And at this point in the game, the momentum was in our behalf, and once again, Grant makes a stop. As you can see, he had a good night. Here's a nice seam route from Blake to tight end Jairee Taylor. We got Francis Meehan back in the game. He's just about 100% from his injury. Here's a nice pass, a little swing pass to senior Malcolm Hill with great second effort. Malcolm's come up, big the last 3 weeks for us. Another big stop, and again, this kept him out of the end zone.
And Grant Daly penetrating there, untouched, really make a big tackle.
Here's some nice tough yards for Keegan Santos. They did a good job up front of stopping our run. Here we go, Grant again. Here's a nice interception by sophomore free safety Tyrone Hines, and then gets good yardage afterwards, which this is going to set up our first score. We're down 6-0 here. Here's a nice connection with Meehan on one of our little bubble screens. Freddie Taylor, great effort. Freddie's had 3 consecutive good games for us. There's Wiz on a swing route. Tough second effort there, getting us down in there. And for Javion, we thought he had a touchdown on this first run, but they called it a little bit short, about a foot short. We thought it was a touchdown anyway. We come back, and then he punches it in. put us up 7-6 through, we're midway through the third quarter. Wesley Gaines hits the extra point, big extra point. Here's Javion with another big run. Blake, nice scramble here. Squares up his shoulders, makes a good throw in the end zone to Freddie Taylor. Here we cut it to, 2 touchdowns, but tried an onside kick. They got it, and they just kind of ran the clock out on us.
Javion Hall, a guy, they, like you said, they executed their game plan pretty well the other night at West Brunswick. Stopping your run game and Keegan Santos. Javion Hall came in and gave you guys a little bit of a boost in that run game, and kept you in the ball game until late. Late.
Right, and the two turnovers in our own territory in the fourth quarter doomed us. I mean, that hurt. And I talked to the team about everything after the game. Our goals are still intact, but it's not all us now. It's up to the next 2 weeks. We're going to become Hoggard fans this week, and and make sure we take care of business. We've got Ashley's coming to town, and Coach Turner is going to have them ready to play. I know that. And they had a big win last week over South Brunswick.
Looking back at this game, obviously, things that you can control to, things that you can fix to control, your destiny here in the next couple of weeks, turnovers and penalties.
Yeah, we were very fortunate against Laney not to turn the ball over either team, and then in the rain, and it's kind of frustrating, But again, I think that goes back to West Brunswick. They were hitting. They came out ready to play, and they've only had that one loss to North Myrtle Beach, and a little chip on their shoulder, and they came out on top.
Back to practice this week, and we will talk to you next time here on Sports Roundtable. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Joe.
New Hanover Wildcats dropped to 2-1 in conference. They're 4-4 overall. New Hanover back at the friendly confines of Legion Stadium coming up on Friday night, as it's homecoming night for the Wildcats when they play Ashley. We'll take a quick time out here on Sports Roundtable. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. Coming up in our second quarter of action will be the head coach of the Laney Buccaneers, Ashad Yeoman, right after this. Back to Friday night as we cover high school football across New Hanover County here on Sports Roundtable. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. It was homecoming night at Laney High School. The Buccaneers faced their crosstown rival, back-to-back rivalry games as they played host to the Hoggard Vikings, and it was the Vikings on top of Laney by a score of 13-0. The Bucks now have dropped 2 straight back-to-back games in the conference. They'll head into a bye week before traveling to Charlotte to play the West Brunswick Trojans. Coach Ashad Yeoman from the Laney Buccaneers joining me here on set. And Coach, tough week coming off an emotional 1-point setback to New Hanover last week, and then no rest for the weary as you take on a Hoggard team that was coming off a couple extra days of rest and just really couldn't get the offense going, and defense still doing what they're doing, but just couldn't get points in the end zone, obviously, in a shutout.
Yeah, that's basically the tale of the tape, We had opportunities to make some things happen for us, and we just stalled out a lot of the drives, and then the opportunity that we had to score, we overthrew the pass, and then we had an opportunity to kick a field goal. It got blocked. So it's a testament to Coach Underwood and the job he's done with his kids. Two
facets of the game maybe not working for you on offense and special teams, but something that you've been able to hang your hat on all season has been that Laney defense, and they came out to play again, holding Hoggard to just 1 touchdown and a couple of field goals. So it came in Cisak in the middle, inside linebacker. I know we're going to see plenty of highlights from him here in just a few, but talk about what he's been able to do for you, kind of the quarterback of the defense at that inside linebacker position.
He's been excellent. I can't commend him enough for the job he's done and the leadership that he's brought to this team, just the overall step up that he's taken from his junior year to his senior year. I'm hoping that a lot of the young guys see, that transition that he's made, but he's also put in a lot of work in the weight room, and, he's a great kid. I'm glad to have him.
Talking about that weight room, each week I come by practice and get to talk with you and some of the players in the weight room during your weight training before heading out on the practice field. Coach, you got to give me some credit, man. I was able to put up some weight on the bench press last week.
I was very impressed. I thought that we were going to have to pull it off for you, but then you kept throwing it up, and I'm like, man, there you go, Joe, and you do a good job, babe.
Let's get to some of the highlights here from the Hoggard-Laney matchup this past Friday night.
Yes, sir. This is basically the first drive of the game. As you can see, they were driving a little bit when there's Cayman Cizak right there. He's going in for that strip. Surprisingly, he didn't come up with it. I don't know how in the world that offensive lineman got in there and got that ball, but that's a good job from him. But that was a great stop there. And then, they rolled the pocket quite a bit, and they were trying to, put some pressure on the silent assassin, Ron Dabrowski. But he came with a big play there for us. Put him in 3rd and long, and then they go for the pass, and there's Cayman Czak. Now you can't tell, but he actually was the guy who caused that kind of disruption in that pass, and then you get the tip play from Eli Boone. So that was a great job of both those guys being where they needed to be, and then coming up with that turnover there. And this is one of the bigger plays that they like to run, was that option, that speed option. They didn't show it a lot on some of the other films, but watching them against Coach Earl Smith's team, they ran the option pretty well, and we knew we had to come to play for that one. And there's Trayvon McGee and a host of other guys on the tackle. Again, they do a lot of things on offense. You got to be sound in your defensive effort and making sure your guys are aligned properly, because if you don't, they'll outnumber you and get some plays. And the defense did a great job of being tuned in and what they were trying to do. And then big plays here. There's Cayman Czak on that big stop there. Trayvon Green coming up. And yeah, they did some things, and we had some defensive things that we were trying to do to counteract that. But one of the things that killed us in the game was that draw play. And there's my junior safety that came up with a big hit on Big 98. He was in here last week, and he went down for a little bit. And then there's a big run by Meek. Like I said, I've not seen him get run down very often, man. But that's a good job by that safety or that corner coming up with a big play. And I went over there to tell him, hey, let's finish this thing off. I mean, you ran that far. Let's go get it. But that was when we overthrew that pass into the end zone. And again, they had another opportunity to score. Big 98, give them the rock and coming close to scoring, but we ended up keeping them out of the end zone. And again, defensive effort right there, stopping them at the goal line. They ended up getting a 5-yard penalty, driving them back even more. And then this next play here, you're going to see Cayman Czak come up with a big play. I'm not sure why I left all that in there, but but again, they're trying to outnumber us, and we got to get the slide. Get lined up properly, and there's Cayman Czak, man. And he can fly. Like I said, he's one of the fastest kids on the team. Comes over with a big stop there, and it's 4th down. And there's my boy, Big 99, Lewis Powell, helping out there. Again, they like to roll the pocket, putting a lot of pressure on Ryan Dabrowski to get outside and make sure you stop that roll and come up with a 4th down, and they ended up kicking the field goal to go up 3 points. And here they are driving again. We had actually did a pretty good job on this drive, but again, the draw play was one of the things that ended up killing us on 3rd down. So a testament to them and the job they did 3rd down.
With all that said, I thought defensively you had a game plan going into this contest against Hoggard, and I thought it was well executed as we see some here in the highlights. Yeah,
defensively we did, and offensively we did too. We just didn't do a good job of blocking up front, and that's the name of the game. If those guys up front don't do a great job of blocking, then it's not going to look well on the offense. So we got some work to do there, and we'll get it fixed.
Able to force a turnover in this ball game. I got to give a little shout out there to Eli Boone. It was homecoming night, and Eli, the senior defensive back, was actually named homecoming king of the court. So congratulations to Eli, a great kid out there, and his award as being this year's the 2016 Laney homecoming king, and comes up big with the interception. Laney Coach, you get a bye week coming up, and a good bye week to get you some rest, and a big road game coming up against West Brunswick.
Absolutely. This week here is again an opportunity for me to play psychologist a little bit. People don't realize the mental part of it that goes into this game as opposed to the physical part. So got to get them mentally ready.
Coach, we'll be talking to some of your players next week here on Sports Roundtable, so looking forward to that conversation. And I'll see you in the gym in a couple of days leading up to practice.
I'll see you there.
That's Laney coach Ashad Yeoman. The Bucks will have the off week before traveling down to Charlotte to play West Brunswick on Friday, October 28th. We're at the half here at Sports Roundtable, continuing the conversation with the 4 coaches from across New Hanover County. It's high school football here on New Hanover County Schools TV. I'm Joe Katz. Moving into the second half of tonight's broadcast here on Sports Roundtable, we'll talk with the head football coaches from Hoggard and Ashley High School. The Vikings were on the road this past week, coming off a bye week as we caught up with Coach Yeoman this past segment, and Hoggard pulled out a 13-0 win over Laney. Jeremiah Kim, field goal kicker, was able to convert on 2 attempts, and Tony Allen found the end zone. Big interception from Reese Moulton. We'll get to the highlights in a sec. Coach Craig Underwood joining us here on set, and Coach, you had those extra few days of practice to kind of scout out what Laney likes to do on offense, and it obviously proved valuable for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I felt like our kids responded really well to the fundamentals that we focused on in the bye week, and that translated right into getting ready for a tough Laney running game, and to get a shutout against a team that had really been racking up yards on people was really, really proud of our guys. And then offensively, I mean, we had 2 drives that were over 6 minutes. I mean, it was just that was an incredible contribution to
going
to
up
getting the
against
win.
a Laney defense too that has played real well this season too. So to be able to take advantage of things on special teams and on defense are two things you definitely Hoggard has hung their hat on over the course of the last 2 decades really. And you got back to kind of playing Hoggard football back on Friday.
No doubt about it. We had a solid run game, really controlled. We felt like controlled the clock with it. Defense did a great job tackling and assignment football against the option. And then, you look special teams, great tackling on our kickoff coverage. We blocked a field goal that set up a score. Punt team was just outstanding, and that was the one that obviously we needed to bounce back. But long snapping of Bryant Sasser, the punting of Patrick Conroy, and our coverage was just really proud of those guys.
Let's get to
Jeremiah.
And Jeremiah with 2 field goals in the game. Let's get to some of the highlights. 13-0 victory for the Hoggard Vikes.
Here we go, just getting on our first offensive series. Rashad, Rashad and Tony both had pretty big nights. Again, the point total doesn't show the yardage. Again, triple option scheme, it's all about doing your job, and I feel like our kids responded really well. Here you see dive quarterback pitch. The guys handled getting tackled for loss multiple times on against their triple option. Give Laney credit, they showed multiple formations. There's our defensive line. Landon Romano kind of setting an edge, and then Mackenzie Frazier coming in and just cleaning it up for a tackle for loss. Here's Keon Bradley, really become an excellent block guy for us. Comes off the edge and not only blocks it but scoops it and almost gets it in here. Credit to Laney's speed, being able to run him down, but I was hoping he'd go on and get in the end zone, but it does set up our first score of the game. Again, a defensive and a clock battle. If you really watch this, it was both sides, moving the ball in a chess match, and just Jeremiah helping get 2 field goals was big. Again, defensively, good pressure. Christian Holler, Cullum Crowley, those 2 guys really coming along at linebacker. Nathan Frizzell has stepped up as well. Here's Trey Hauser catching a nice little screen route for us there on the edge. Again, he continues to be a big part. Here you see Colin Hare in motion. It was great to get him back. We ended up feeling like running the ball was the answer as the game went on Friday night, so we didn't pass it quite as much. But excited to get Colin back. But there's Tony and Rashad again. Those guys opening up. There was Rashad with the big run, and then Tony being able to punch it in for us, so making it 10-0. That was the first drive of the second half, and it set up. It was 6 minutes and 91 yards. So, and then our first defensive drive was a 3-and-out. So, really setting the tone for the second half.
Yeah, when the defense is on the field for that long, like Laney playing so well that eventually they're going to tire out.
Yeah. I tell you, the draw was good to us Friday night. That's the second draw that you've shown on here. Rashad was 3rd and 11 from our own 5, and he popped one for about 30 yards a second ago. So good play for us. Again, Jeremiah, sophomore kicker, so excited about his future. But Bryant Sasser, C.J. Pitkin, just our whole operation really cleaning up and starting to play Hoggard special teams the way we expect. They got a surge there, which I don't like, but what I do like is guys continuing to attack the football. Here you see Bryant Sasser to Patrick Conroy on the long snap. Great punt. We set up field position with our punt team throughout the night. Got a good roll.
Inside the 20.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yelling at the guys, don't touch it, trying to let that clock run. They did a good job. I tell you, Laney started doing some scatter motions out of and shifting to multiple formations. I felt like our kids responded really well. I felt like we contained the quarterback, which was a big concern of ours. We contained him throughout the night. He's a heck of an athlete.
Yes, he is. So. You're going to see him next couple of years.
Yeah. He's going to be a challenge as it goes through. We got him throwing the ball around. You mentioned the interception by Reese Moulton. Here it is. He's just continues to get better and better at that safety position for us.
Colin Hare, you mentioned him. He was out with a broken collarbone, I believe, so it's good to get him back. That should help in the passing game, obviously. Things don't get much easier for you this week. You know, you play New Hanover, get a bye, you go to Laney, and now you're going to welcome West Brunswick. The Trojans now in first place in the conference, a team that you're going to have to stop in the run game, especially. Some of the things to, you know, maybe scout out and look for this week going into practice.
Well, you know, I mean, they obviously have, you know, McCrae's a heck of a player, really talented running back, good at the offensive line. But they've got a couple other guys in that backfield that can do it, and they run the bootleg off of it extremely well. So we got our hands full. And then defensively, you know, their coaching staff does a really good job over there as well. So bottom line, we've got to continue to get better. I feel like we're on the right track. We've got to continue to get better. Coach
Underwood, thanks for stopping by. 13-0 winners for the Hoggard Vikings this past week. Also, a thing of note right here, I had Coach Smith on earlier from New Hanover. It was the first time that I think ever in the history of high school football in this area, the New Hanover coach wished the Hoggard Vikings well as they play West Brunswick and look to knock West Brunswick off as they're in first place in the division. Thanks to Coach Underwood for stopping by. We'll take our final time out here on tonight's show. Ashley head coach Jeff Turner coming up after this. High school football fans, welcome back to Sports Roundtable. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com, or Joe Catanacci, as Coach Turner likes to call me, and that's my last name, actually. We cover high school football here on Sports Roundtable each and every week. Fourth quarter of the show coming up as the Ashley Screaming Eagles snapped a 4-game skid this past Friday night. Packed house in Monkey Junction. It was Ashley 24, South Brunswick nothing. Ashley now 1-3 in the conference, 3-4 overall. A couple of weeks ago, I told you, due to the injuries Ashley suffered over the course of the last few weeks, a couple of players were going to need to step up, and Freddie Thames has done so in a big way. He scored 3 touchdowns in the win over South. Jacob Reed, the quarterback, threw for a pair of scores, and that'll bring us to our final guest tonight, Coach Jeff Turner. And Coach, get the offense moving. Things finally starting to at least adjust to life without some of those key players that are out because of injury.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a new team out there and trying to get used to some new you know, strategies and trying to get everyone comfortable with our offense right now with the new personnel. So that absolutely was right.
Freddie Thames, a guy who you know, has come along here now, a junior. You're going to see him for another year at least. Good to see him be able to break one last week against Topsail for 80 yards, broke a couple of tackles, and he finds the end zone here 3 times in the win over South Brunswick. So he's got to be, as an individual, feeling pretty good about himself.
Yeah, he does. He's usually been hitting outside, but we sort of gave him some inside runs, and he did a good job with that. So really happy with Freddie, and it was just a nice night out there. You know, it was a great crowd. I think it was just a packed house. The student section is just outstanding, so it was really good for the Eagle family.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights. 34-0. I think I might have said 24.
Don't short us any points, please.
Over South Brunswick.
Yeah, it's a nice play by Jacob Reed. He sort of read option there, and he sort of keeps it and brings it down to the 10-yard line. And next play, we sort of punch it in from about the 2-yard line. Okay, and you know, offensive line did pretty good, and it was just trying to get back to basics and trying to play 4 quarters of football. And that's sort of what we stressed. And it didn't matter who we played. It just, you know, we just need to get back to doing what we've done in the beginning, and it hurts because you know, it is 2 different teams with some of the injuries, so you are dealing with a new team. And nice play here by Keegan, our tight end. Nice catch by him. He's about 6'5", 6'6". He's a basketball player also, but he's a new addition that has never played football before, and we're just trying to get his feet wet with coaching him up. But he's a new addition here, and it's a great play by Sean Ross, okay, just getting open and finding the zone and getting there. It's a big play by Jacob Reed again, sort of finding the opening. This is right before the half. We had about a couple minutes. We had a 2-minute drive going down here, and then we had to get in the end zone. I believe there was about 14 seconds left, and they find Sean in the end zone, Sean Ross, for a touchdown. I think we left 3 seconds on the clock right there before the half.
They've got to build some confidence there to be able to operate a 2-minute offense.
Yeah, and they've done a good job all year. It wasn't anything new to them. Defensively, I was really wanting to see what they can do because I was so disappointed in the game against Topsail, but you know, challenge them all week to try to, you know, get tougher and to take care of business. A great job by Jacob and throwing to Keegan on a little bootleg, coming back into the end zone again. And good job by Jacob Reed. He's persistent.
New tight end, proving to be a valuable asset for you here.
He's a big kid.
Forget the football. I see Coach Turner all
Yeah.
fired up. Or the kick and block.
That's the kick and block, yep. And you know, we've been trying to work on. We lost our kicker also, so we've got Corey Whaley kicking, and he actually was 2 for 3, so he did a good job. We worked on it during the week.
Saw Jacob earlier in these highlights on that read option. I know a couple of weeks ago you talked about him having to cut the ball up the field and run more, up on that line of scrimmage. You saw it in those early highlights that he did that Friday.
Right, he did a good job, and he was doing that early in the season. And you know, it's just it's been an adverse year, and I think there's so much to learn from the year, but I'd rather not be learning it on our time sometimes with the losses and adversity, and that's a part of the game, and that's what we teach the kids, and that's going to go with them a long time. I don't know what South was trying to throw, a little trick play, and threw it right into our guys' hands, and sort of brought us down. This is a great play, team blocking here. If you watch Corey Whaley on this triple, and Corey's blocking, the perimeter's blocking, Freddie sort of turns on the gas here and sort of gets in the end zone, and it's a good job by him. Everybody contributing, the offensive line, the receivers, and it was really a team effort. The good thing about last week is the kids came and had a great week of practice. There's no give it up here. It's a team that's worked hard from spring through summer and has not reaped the benefits that we think we should because of a lot of adversity, and they're dealing with it good. Isaiah Fields, lets them get a little behind, but comes up, makes a good play. And basically, right now, Freddie Thames sort of finds that hole and gets down, has a good burst, gets down the 30-yard line. And right here, Freddie also brings it in and sort of outruns it into the end zone. So,
well, Coach, I guess you could say you talk about the adversity, the injuries that you've had, obviously, to some of your key players. In years past, this might be an Ashley football team that kind of packed it in, especially for some of these kids that have not enjoyed a lot of success during their high school football career, and even moving before they were in high school. That just the history of Ashley football hasn't always been on the brightest side of things. So that's something that you could take for yourself, and for the kids, a testament to your hard work and their hard work. That you're keeping their heads high and they're still playing hard. You're able to get in the win column here for the first time in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of, when you break it down, that's should be why you coach. It's not about the ego and the win column, although it is, but at the same time, there's so much to be learned in a season like this. And if they could, have the character to come back and deal with the adversity, that takes them a long way after high school. And that's sort of the big picture of the whole thing, even though we'd love to have a lot more wins.
Coach, 34-0 shutout over South Brunswick. Ashley going to head over to Legion Stadium on Friday night to take on the New Hanover Wildcats. Coach, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you next week. Freddie Thames with 3 touchdowns in that win for the Screaming Eagles. That'll do it here for our latest edition of Sports Roundtable on New Hanover County Schools TV. Again, I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. Tune in next week. We'll go over video highlights and analysis from the 4 football coaches across New Hanover County. Until next time.